Welcome to week 2, boys and girls. How are you? It is time for the BettingPros live stream. Matt Perrault, Andrew Erickson with you guys for the next 30 or so minutes, breaking down week number 2. You guys are going to get not one, but 2 guys from Massachusetts. So enjoy this. Patriots and the Dolphins later tonight. We'll get to that at the end of the show a little bit. Andrew, good to see you. Welcome to the show. You and I, first time working together. How are you? What's the weather like at home? We dealing with any weather in Boston?
No, I'm not seeing anything right now. It smells like a crisp autumn day, and it smells like a Patriots upset. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm with you. Let's get into that a little bit later on. Okay, guys, here's how this is going to go. We're going to go over some of the line movements, some of the plays that we like, some of the prop bets that we like. I'm going to give you my 4 prop bets that I have made that I will give you guys here. And yes, there is a Wong teaser. If you guys don't know what that is, if you missed last week, I'll explain quickly what Wong teasers are. But essentially, it's a way of moving lines within the hour of kickoff. It only is going to apply to the 1 o'clock kickoffs, not the 4 o'clock kickoffs. All right, Andrew, I'm going to give you my bets for the day. You can tell me what you think about this. Let's start with the Falcons because there's been movement here. This number was 1. It's now 3 at most books. A lot of pro money coming in here and moving on the Atlanta Falcons against the Green Bay Packers. I'm with it. I like Atlanta today to win this game and to beat the Packers. I think they'll cover the 3. I wouldn't go over 3, but I will be very surprised if this number gets over 3, given how much money it would take to get it off of 3. But how do you feel about Atlanta today going 2-0?
I like it. I mean, Desmond Ridder undefeated at home in the college level, at the professional level. So I like backing Ridder. You have the Packers without their offensive weapons. Aaron Jones isn't going to play. Christian Watson's not going to play. So I think that's why we've seen more money come in on the Falcons after the Packers opened up as 1-point favorites on the road. I think Desmond Ridder is not someone that necessarily is going to blow the doors off of the Packers defense, but I think the Packers win last week was really more about how bad the Chicago Bears are and not necessarily how good the Green Bay Packers are. So I just don't think without a lack of firepower, because a lot of those scores the Packers had last week, it was Aaron Jones just like running wild down the field with a touchdown. He's not going to be available. So Falcons defense is vastly superior to the Bears. So I'm backing the Dirty Birds as well.
It's funny because I was on Sunday night, I was with my daughter. We were here in Las Vegas. We're at a supermarket and there were 2 Packer fans and they were in the middle of the aisle and they both were like literally like giddy about how great their team looked. And they're like, "Oh, Jordan Love looks so good. Oh, did you see this?" And I walked right in between both of them and I said, "It's the Bears. Don't talk. It's the Bears. You've won 9 straight games against the Bears. This is not a team you go and like high five and go, 'Ooh, we're back.' Hold on a second. I think reality sets in today for the Green Bay Packers. I like Atlanta. In that game, I have one of my prop bets. I made it last week. I'm going back to it. I think Bijan Robinson's going to be a red zone threat for this team. I like Bijan Robinson to score a touchdown, anytime touchdown, at plus money at plus 105 on this. How do you feel about Bijan for a second game in the NFL getting a second touchdown?
Well, it all depends on what Arthur Smith's going to do with that red zone usage. I know that Tyler Algier was the guy that they leaned on a lot in the red zone, but luckily for anyone making this bet, like Bijan has the ability to score wherever he gets the ball. So we know that he's going to get fed as long as Algier is also going to play and get fed as well. There is no Cordero Patterson. So I think that does take any risk out of this a little bit more because Patterson's someone that they could use around the goal line as well. They don't have any. Arthur Smith doesn't want to feature Drake London. He doesn't want to feature Kyle Pitts. So the Falcons are going to, if they're going to win this game, it's going to be one of the running backs scoring. So Bijan, especially at plus money odds, I like the bet there.
The Chargers and the Titans. This game has been really interesting. It opened up with the Chargers minus 3.5. It's down to 2.5 now, and it may even go to 2 before we see this game kick off between the Titans and the Chargers. Titans are at home here. What do you make of the West Coast team, early start time, and the Titans defense maybe being the story here against the Chargers?
Man, this is like one of the stay away games for me from the betting from the spread because it's the Chargers number one. It's like the team that's ultimately going to blow any type of bet that you make on them because I have no confidence in their defense. Brandon Staley is someone that there's a massive head coaching gap between Mike Vrabel, who finds ways to win with inferior talent, versus Stanley, who finds ways to lose with the superior talent on his side. So the only way that I've kind of been backing this game is just the Chargers passing game. Like that's what I feel most confident about. Justin Herbert, there is no Austin Eckler, so I feel like they're going to dial up the pass attempts. The Titans have a horrible secondary, but their defensive line is really strong. So for me, it's been really attacking Justin Herbert overs, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, like those receivers, as opposed to trying to bet who's going to win this game. Because, like you said, West Coast to East Coast, it's the friggin' Chargers, the team that is just, you're basically betting on pain anytime you invest in this offense or defense. So that's the way I've been kind of approaching it.
Yeah, I'm going to watch this line here. This game may be involved with the Wong teaser because it fits perfectly into what we like to do with crossing 3 and crossing 7. So Titans Chargers, we'll come back to that game before we're done here. Colts and the Houston Texans. This is obviously a divisional game. The number opened up -1 for Houston. We're now at a pick. Money coming in here on Indianapolis. The total is 40. I mean, my goodness gracious. Not a great game, so we won't spend a ton of time on it, Andrew. But what do you make of this divisional battle in the South, and do you like the road team to come away with a W here?
I like the Texans. I mean, it's 2 rookie quarterbacks. There's going to be a rookie quarterback winning his first NFL game today. Like, that's going to happen between CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson. One of the things I actually like about this game, I think it actually goes over. You know, both these teams played at a very fast pace in week 1. Both guys have rookie quarterbacks that have dynamic playmaking ability. The Colts secondary is horrible, so I think the Texans can make some plays downfield with Nico Collins, Tank Dell, a rookie wide receiver who's going to start because Noah Brown is out. So I actually like some of these overs on some of these receivers and the game total over. It's in a dome. Like, 2 rookie quarterbacks that have nothing to hold back, 2 coaches that are ready to kind of get their guys going. I like the over here, and I especially like the over on CJ Stroud's rushing. 12.5 rushing yards is his rushing line prop. He hit 20 yards last week. He's running around way more than he did at Ohio State because it's much easier to stay in the pocket when you have Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson as your receivers. Not so the case with him right now with his current receiver. So he's going to run a lot more, especially behind the patchwork offensive line they have in Houston. So I think he's going to go over that rushing line.
Yeah, I'm going to be really curious to see. He was questionable. He is playing in this game, so that's good. What he looks like, if he's at all nicked up or banged up, and how do they try to protect CJ Stroud today, just given the fact that he was questionable going into the game. Seattle and Detroit has seen quite a bit of movement here. There are some books already at 5. Seattle on the road at the Lions. 2.5 was the open. We're seeing steam now here in Las Vegas. The Superbook already has gone to 5. We got a bunch at 4.5, but it seems like everyone is headed that way to get to 5, which is a dead number for me, although it does land on 5. We saw the Eagles and the Patriots land on 5 in week 1. 5 is still a number I really don't like. But why do you think there's so much love to the Lions? Is this just, here we go, Detroit, everyone's in on this team, or home opener, and it's going to be a difficult environment for Seattle?
I think that's the case here. I mean, Seattle, I went into this game thinking I was going to want to back Seattle as well. So, you know what? They played bad week 1. Maybe we're overreacting because week 2 is overreaction season. But I don't think we should overreact to the tackles being out for Seattle. I think that's a major deal. And if you look at the last half of last year when Seattle's tackles were underperforming, they went 1-7 versus spread in their last 8 games, Seattle Seahawks. So they're just a team I can't back right now because they looked totally different, out of sync in that second half against the Rams, who they should have totally taken care of business. They didn't. And that's because the tackles were out. So I think the Lions, coming off a big win against the Chiefs, they've had time to prepare. They're playing at home. They just have way more working in their favor. And I think that they're going to prove, there's going to be another statement game for them to be like, hey, we're going to bury the Seattle Seahawks, who are not ready for prime time. So I'm backing the Lions here.
It's crazy. Last year, I was calling them the Seattle Seahawks because I thought Seattle was going to be awful last year. And they were much better than people thought, much better than what I thought they were going to be. This year's team, to me, looks like what I thought they were going to be last year, because I'm with you.
I don't think too early,
Yeah, it was just a year too early. I was ahead of the curve with Seattle. I think it could be a rough season coming up in Seattle. And that's one reason why I took the 49ers to win the West at -180 before the season, because I was like, wait, all right, we know the Cardinals are awful. The Niners are going to be competing with Seattle. It's a head-to-head battle, and I don't think Seattle is going to be very good. I'm not buying the Rams. We'll get to the game here in a second with the Niners and the Rams. It's basically like a one-team division, and it's a really good one-team division because of what San Francisco is going to look like this year. So I thought it was a gift to get under $2 on the Niners. I think it's -600 now for the 49ers to win the division. So it's just rocketed after week 1. Guys, Andrew's wearing a Daily Juice sweatshirt. I'm wearing a Daily Juice hat. You can follow Daily Juice and all of our other pros on the free BettingPros app that can be downloaded right now on iOS and Android. You can follow experts, top-rated bettors, Bettors on hot streaks to get instant notifications and new bets getting placed. You'll be told when that happens. You can customize the notifications by sport, so you only get the alerts that you care about. You can even limit the alerts on historically ROI positive markets for the bettors that you are following. You can take advantage of these features and more by downloading the Betting Pros app by visiting bettingpros.com/apps or search Betting Pros in the App Store. Check it out for sure. You can get a lot of great content heading into a Sunday football weekend, including stuff that Andrew is writing. You can go ahead and jump in on that. All right, let's continue here with the opening slate. Chicago and Tampa. You've got a number which was Chicago -1.5. It has flipped all the way to Tampa Bay -2.5. So the professionals really disagreeing with the bookmakers, saying that the road team should have been the favorite here with Chicago. Can you back either one of these teams? Because, man, a part of me says the line was right. I'm on the under 6.5 wins for Tampa. Overreaction comes from week 1 to week 2. I don't think Tampa's good. How do you feel about the Bucs?
I mean, anytime I can bet against Baker Mayfield as like a favorite, I'm gonna do it. Like simply, it's that easy for me. Like I get the Bears have their issues, but like you said, the Buccaneers are far from a elite team that we should be afraid to bet against. So look, Justin Fields makes enough plays with his legs. There is no Deontay Foreman, so we're getting better players out there for the Chicago Bears between Roshan Johnson, Khalil Herbert, DJ Moore. They're going to get involved. One of my favorite bets this week, over 3.5 receptions, which you can get at plus money for DJ Moore. Like, he's going to get way more targets than he got last week, where he got 2 targets. He's seen this Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary before when he used to play for the Panthers. Last time he played them, over 100 yards, a touchdown. So I think DJ Moore is going to have a big game with Justin Fields.
Interesting. I like that a lot. We'll come back to this game as well, because this game also may factor into the Wong teaser as we go through it. Here in Vegas, there is not a lot of hope or excitement for the Raiders on the road at the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo loses on opening night or kickoff night against the Jets on Monday Night Football. Short week for Buffalo, but home opener in a ticked off Bills team. Now, the Raiders did stay out west, did stay out of Vegas. They played at Denver. They went to West Virginia. So there's no time change problem for the Raiders like there is with other teams like the Chargers who are cross-country traveling. That still doesn't give me a lot of hope in the Raiders. Number was 8.5. It's coming down. There are some pro opinions coming in here on Vegas. -7.5. Some might get down to 7. Some are at 7 already, actually. What do you make of the Raiders? Can they hang with Buffalo at all?
I think so, and that's kind of why I actually like the over in this game. Like, that's how I would play it. I think that the Bills, if they're going to beat this team, they're going to want to score a lot of points.
Yeah.
But they do have their fair share of issues. So I think that the Raiders' offense with Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Garoppolo, when he's not injured, he's not that bad. Like, their offensive line played pretty well last week, so I think Garoppolo can dial up enough between Adams and Josh Jacobs. Bills can't stop the run. Josh Jacobs was the NFL's leading rusher last year, and he was he was a little rusty coming off his first game after missing time during training camp. So I think that the Raiders are going to put up points too. So I like the over.
Yeah, so I teased this down, and so I have a Niners and Bills teaser, not a Wong teaser, just a straight teaser. I took the Niners down from -7 to -1. You could do the same thing here, 7.5 or 7 for the Bills and make them 1. It's essentially the two teams that are the most heavily picked in all survivor pools this week, the Bills and the Niners, just riding that. How do you feel about basically money line bets being combined for the Bills and the Niners?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, even if the Raiders surprise and keep this game close, like the Bills cannot start out 0. That's the kiss of death, 0-2. A home loss against Las Vegas, like that can't happen. So yeah, I agree with that.
Jacksonville and Kansas City. I'm actually really mad at the NFL. This game should not be buried in all the other slates. This should be a Sunday night game. This should be a Monday night game. This should be a primetime standalone battle, because this is going to be an awesome game. I don't know who wins, but I feel like we're going to learn a lot about both teams here. Do you have a lean or a feel for what's going to happen here with KC and the Jaguars?
Taking the Chiefs. I mean, that's where I would go. I think that the Chiefs are still on another level. Travis Kelce's back. Chris Jones is back. I mean, they should have won on Thursday night. You know, if one of their Chiefs receivers could make one play, like that's like literally all they needed was one more play from their Chiefs receivers. They couldn't get it done. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of firepower on the Jaguars side of things, but Andy Reid, extra time, off a loss. I'm taking Kansas City.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, I'm very interested. I'm going to watch that game intently because I like the Jaguars a lot this year. Kelsey and Jones coming back. That's a lot of firepower for Kansas City. They're pretty much fully loaded and healthy now. Oof, big test for the Jaguars. They could win this game and start Casey 0-2 on the season. That would be a shocker, to say the least. Cincinnati is hosting the Ravens. Game of the day in the North. This thing's unbelievable. 3.5 has been the number. It hasn't moved, Andrew. It opened this way. It has been cemented 3.5. No one's going to 3. No one's going to 4. It's staying at 3.5. Lamar Jackson as a dog. I believe it's a dog, period, but it might be just a dog in the division. I think he's 8-0-1 in his last 9 games as a dog. Ravens today with Mark Andrews playing should be at least effective in some way, maybe the red zone, but he will be in the lineup tonight or today for the Ravens.
I think I'm more concerned about the other injuries for the Ravens. A lot of secondary guys are out. Marcus Williams, no Marlon Humphrey. 2 offensive linemen are out. Stanley is out. Ronnie Stanley, the left tackle, and Tyler Linderbaum. So I think I'm buying back on the Bengals. Like after they just totally were horrible in week 1 against the Browns. Joe Burrow has traditionally always like sucked against the Browns, where he's had a lot more success against the Ravens, especially when they have a banged up secondary. I mean, the guy threw for like 80 yards last week. So you're going to see some regression to the mean here with Joe Burrow. So I think the Bengals get back on track.
I'm with you. I can't touch this game. The only thing I have is I have a prop bet. I have Joe Burrow under 10.5 yards rushing in this game. I don't think with the ankles.
He's not running around at all.
He's not running at all.
He's not moving.
He's
not happening.
And against this team, I mean, with the speed of the defense for the Ravens, I don't see Burrow getting away from them. I think Joe Burrow under 10.5 yards rushing. I got that last night at DraftKings, but that is a play I like a lot just because I don't think he goes anywhere. So that's my second prop for this. Burrow under 10.5 yards rushing here in this game against the Ravens. And the thing that I'm really going to be curious about with Lamar Jackson, he looked okay last week. Now, maybe that was just because it was week 1, but you have a new offensive coordinator in Baltimore. You got new weapons. Zay Flowers looks phenomenal, but any concern about Lamar Jackson?
No, I think it's the new offense. I think they're still trying to gel. Again, there was no Mark Andrews. So Mark Andrews is number 1 guy. So again, when you take away their safety blanket, their number 1 receiver, you're going to see them underwhelm a little bit more. And I think too, the Texans defense, I think, is underrated. I think the Texans unit, and that's why I like the Texans against the Colts this week, but because I think the Texans are a little bit underrated. Now, again, they were on the road last week in week 1, but even John Harbaugh said in the press conference after they beat the Texans, he was like, this is a good team. Like, this team's going to win a lot of games this year. So maybe right now is the time to buy low on Houston, because I think that they are going to be a team that we're looking up. Oh man, like, could this team make a playoff run? Surprisingly, some of the teas.
How about that? Giants looking for the bounce back spot against the lowly Cardinals. I am buying this, Andrew. I like the Giants today. I think the Giants are gonna do what they should have done on Monday night, which is A, score, and B, look a lot better, and C, give the ball to Saquon Barkley a lot more that they were going to, or they should have in game 1. Cardinals on the upset, or the Giants look like a football team on Sunday?
Back in Big Blue. I mean, look, this line has moved a lot. I saw it earlier in the week. It was at like 5.5, 6, and now I think it's at 4. It's kind of where it's settled. I mean, I was fine taking that 5.5 at 6. Like, this team was a 7-point dog against Sam Howell. I get that game was on the road, but are you serious? Like, you're only going to get 4 points for the Giant? Like, come on. Like, the Giant, Daniel Jones is a professional quarterback. Like, he's going to win games. So, yeah, I think that this is an easy bounce back spot for the Giants. Josh Dobbs is horrible. They gave up over 100 yards of penalty yardage last week to the Commanders. If it wasn't for that fumble 6, Washington would have covered the 7-point spread. So I'm Big Blue all the way. I love anytime touchdown for Saquon Barkley. I think that's a lock.
I like that too. Yeah, I think the Giants look much better coming up here today. I don't think the Rams look good today. San Francisco, I think, goes into LA. This division is so funny because you have a situation where Sean McVay cannot lose to Pete Carroll. He beats him every time. Whoever is coaching the Cardinals, it doesn't matter. Sean McVay owns them. But Sean McVay can't beat Kyle Shanahan. He's 0-7 against them straight up the last 7 games, and 0-7 ATS as well. I don't understand the buying on the Rams here. I would lay up to 9, 10. I think the Niners destroy the Rams today, and I'm teasing it down to 1. I just take a 1 point. It's a money line for my bet, but can the Niners win this game by more than a touchdown?
No, and yes, of course, the 49ers are going to demolish the Los Angeles Rams. Like, again, going back to that Seahawks game, The reason the Rams had such an advantage was because the Seahawks lost their both starting tackles. So unless the 49ers lose their entire offensive line, like that's what has to happen here for the Rams to come away with the victory, in my opinion. So unless we get some crazy injury the 49ers run out of quarterbacks, like that's the only scenario I see the Rams coming away with the victory here. So I love the 49ers in this matchup. And basically any unders you can find on Cam Akers, that's what I'm smashing for props, whether it's receiving. He ran 2 routes last week. 2. The Rams ran 75 plays. There's no way he's going to hit any of his reception numbers if he's running 2 routes. So I love the 49ers in this spot.
Okay, so the Jets are on the road at Dallas. This number opened up at 3. That was ridiculous. It was like for 2 seconds. It's been spiked all the way to 9.5. There's been buyback now. It's 8.5 on Zach Wilson and these Jets. Can you buy it? Can you say they keep the game close? How do you feel about Dallas here trying to win a game by double digits?
I hate myself for saying this, but I would take the Jets here with the points.
I agree.
It's just too big, in my opinion, and it's not giving enough credit to the Jets defense because, as bad as the Cowboys gave that Giants loss when we saw on Sunday night, the Dallas offense didn't look great. Like they didn't look like they were just like, oh, this is an unstoppable machine and they're going to put up so many points. Like, I don't think Dallas' offense is going to do that well. And I know everyone's like, oh, well, their defense will score a bunch of points. Like, okay, like that's not easy to project. Like pick sixes, fumble sixes, those are random plays. What's to say the Jets get a sack fumble and they're up 7-0 to start? Like you're feeling great about backing the Jets in that scenario because now the Dallas Cowboys have to rev up their offense. So it's just too big for me. And Zach Wilson, you just look at him last year. He was 5-4 as their starter, and he was worse last year. So I think that with their defense where it is at, he's not getting enough credit. Look, if Zach Wilson can just avoid mistakes, I think the Jets defense is going to prevail here.
I was doing a different show on Friday night, and I looked it up while I was on the air, and I almost fell out of my chair. Did you see the number the books have for a Zach Wilson interception today?
No, I haven't seen it.
You don't see prop bets normally minus 240. Minus 240 on a prop bet. Like, what are we doing? Like, they just, I'm going the other way. I'm going with Dak Prescott to throw a pick here against the Jets. How do you feel about Dak Prescott to be picked off today by this Jets defense?
I like it. Just a matter of, is there going to be enough dropbacks? Like that would be my only concern. Is just not throwing enough. They're just playing it super conservative because I know like they could just punt, and Zach Wilson will just eventually make a mistake for them to come away with the win. So that's my only concern. Maybe just not enough dropbacks overall. But Dak showed last year that he's more than happy to give the ball to the defense, and Jets obviously have that elite secondary who can make plays.
Yeah, I like Dak. Those are my 3. If you're just joining us here for the 3 prop bets, Dak Prescott throw a pick, Joe Burrow under 10.5 yards rushing, anytime touchdown for Bijan Robinson for the Falcons. We'll have one more coming up here in just 1 second. I'm actually going to see if Andrew wants to give me a play here if he wants to hear what he likes. Denver hosting Washington. Am I crazy to like -4 and lay 3.5, 4 points here with Denver at home against Washington?
I hate Denver. I can't. I thought that they were really overvalued coming in just because of Sean Payton. It's like he's going to fix everything in week 1. Oh, what happens? They lose at home against the Raiders. Like, come on. So I can't bet for Denver right now until I actually see Sean Payton's like magic touch work on Russell Wilson. So this was a stay away game for me because they're 2 teams I think were just like overvalued and not really good. I would probably just bet the under and just not watch this game, to be totally honest. Like that might be my best approach.
Not horrible. I mean, I think the Giants bounce back. I think Denver bounces back. I think there's a bunch of teams that people ran away from. I thought, on Thursday night, I thought the Vikings were going to look much better. They did. They covered, kind of a miracle cover, but they still covered. And I think there's a lot. I mean, overreaction week 1 to week 2. I think we're going to see a lot of it. And this is another one of them. I think Washington looked better than what they really are. And I think Denver looked worse. And I think Denver at home, starting off 0-2 at home for the Broncos would be really, really rough. So I think they win. Now, do they cover the 3.5, 4? Debatable, but I do think Washington is going to have a tough time at, going cross country to play at altitude, playing in Denver. So that goes to Monday night. I don't know. When I get to the game, I may bet Patriots money line. I've not bet it. How I've bet it is this. I think this defense for Miami is not very good. I think the Patriots showed something in the second half against the Eagles where their offense is starting to come around, and I think Mac Jones is starting to feel comfortable in the offense. A couple of really nice touchdown passes. Yes, the 16 points they gave up on turnovers was the difference between the game against the Eagles, but in the second half, the Patriots outplayed Philadelphia. I'm going team total over 22.5 points for the Patriots here. That could mean a victory. It could also mean a cover. But that Miami offense is so good, I'm a little scared of it. How do you feel about team total for the Patriots to score 23 or more points today?
I like that because I think that the narrative around this game is, okay, how does Belichick stop Tua? Yada, yada, yada. Like, that's kind of the main storyline where it's like, well, is the Dolphins offense going to stop this Patriots offense that looked pretty damn good against the Philadelphia Eagles, who have their fair share of problems, but Dolphins have more problems on their defensive side of the ball. So I think that getting Bill O'Brien, because again, Mac Jones was good as a rookie. And this wasn't a fluke that he played well when he had an actual offensive play caller calling the freaking plays on the team. What happens when they play Kendrick Bourne in a full-time role? Oh, what do you know? Good things happen when they play one of their better players and he's not in the doghouse. So with Ramondre fully healthy, I love the Ramondre over his rushing yards, like 50.5 rushing yards. There's no way they can use Zeke as much as they did in week one because every time he got the ball, it was for like 0 yards. Like it's going to be the Ramondre Stevenson show. So I like a lot of overs on some of his props, especially if this game does become high scoring. And I like the Patriots. I bet the Patriots money line. I like them in this game. Underdogs at home back-to-back weeks. They're getting the episode. It's
all right, guys. If you've got a question you want to ask either myself or Andrew, you can go ahead and do so, and Troy will grab it and throw it up on the screen so you can do that. In the meantime, I'll give you guys the long teaser because I know you guys are interested in doing it, and the numbers haven't moved. Essentially, we're looking at games that have a total of 49 or less. We can't go over there. We're looking at games in the 1 o'clock start, which games that kick off in 30 minutes. You want to get as close to kickoff as possible. And essentially, we're trying to cross key numbers of 3 and 7, either going up or down. So I'm going to take the Titans because the Titans are at home here. They're catching 2.5 points. You can tease them up to 8.5. So you cross 2 key numbers of 3 and 7. You also get over 8, which also can be in play sometimes, not always, but Titans plus 8.5. And I'm going to go with the Bears. This is a low scoring game. The total is 41 in this game. I can give the Bears 8.5 points here. The number is 2.5. I can tease them up to plus 8.5. Titans plus 8.5. Bears plus 8.5. How do you feel about it, Andrew? Which side beats me?
I mean, I don't know. I can't remember the last time Baker Mayfield beat a team not named the Denver Broncos by more than a touchdown. So I feel pretty good about that. And the Titans, I mean, I can't see a scenario where this game's not settled by a last-minute field goal that ultimately destroys the Chargers. Because I think that's just how every game I feel like they play usually ends up going. And Justin Herbert's going to throw for 350 and 3 touchdowns. It's not going to matter because Stanley's going to do something stupid, or one of their secondary guys is going to do something stupid. And Mike Vrabel is just the better head coach. Like, he knows how to win games despite having a horrible roster up and down the entire team. Hopkins is banged up, but Derrick Henry should have a big day on the ground. So I do like those.
Yeah. All right. So to run through my card, in case you guys missed the juice this morning, we're going Bills -2. You can get -1.5 now. Teamed up with the Niners on a teaser. So Bills, Niners teaser. Patriots team total over 22.5 points. Falcons -2. It's now 2.5 or 3, but see if you can find a 2.5 out there. Get below 3 if you can with them. Long teasers, Titans and the Bears, both being teased up to plus 8.5. I'm going with the Dak Prescott interception, anytime touchdown for Bijan Robinson, and Joe Burrow under 10.5 rushing yards. I need one more prop bet. Andrew, do you have a favorite prop bet on the day? Do you have a play that you really like a lot today?
I mentioned earlier, I think I really like the DJ Moore over receptions, especially at plus money odds where I got it earlier in the week. 3.5 receptions for a guy that got 2 targets last week, but it was someone they traded for. Like, he's not going to have games where he just is disappearing. Carlton Davis, Buccaneers starting cornerback, he's not even going to play in this game. So we've already seen DJ Moore do it. Darnell Mooney had a great game week 1, and the Bears threw the ball 37 times in week 1. That was more than they had thrown at any point in 2022. So
wow.
I think that they can dial up the passing game. The Buccaneers are one of those teams that you can't really run against them. You have to throw the ball against them. And I think the Bears will take advantage of that, at least with DJ Moore getting more opportunities, especially from I would not be surprised if you look up after the first drive, DJ Moore has like 4 targets, 5 targets, 2 catches in the first drive, because I think they want to get him more involved.
I love it. All right, let's see where the number is at the moment for receiving receptions for DJ Moore is 3.5 minus 110. So that's great. All right, I'm gonna lock that in. That's great.
Oh.
We'll take that as my fourth prop bet. DJ Moore for the Bears. Give me more to watch on that Bears game, as well as the plus 8.5. And it's somewhat correlated, I guess. If DJ Moore has a big game, Bears might be very much in the game to win the game. So that's possible. Question from Mikey Awesome. How would you approach if you had to capping first touchdown bets? I don't like this market, Andrew. I don't get involved too much with anytime. I like anytime touchdowns. First touchdowns, it's such a random, crazy roulette wheel type of hit. Where are you on the first touchdown market?
I think for me, it's always just trying to find tight ends that see red zone usage. I think that's really what I'm looking for, because you see those play action bootlegs where the tight end, the backup tight end ends up going and scoring the first touchdown. That's where you get the longest odds. I hit on Hawkinson first touchdown on Thursday night.
Nice.
I felt really good about that because he had a good matchup. So you're really looking for tight ends that are involved a lot in the red zone. And for me this week, the guy that I think has a big red zone role is Jake Ferguson for the Dallas Cowboys. Like, he had 7 targets last week, 4 were in the red zone. There is no Brandon Cooks. He's not going to play. So you're taking another piece out of the offense. We know Dallas is going to score at some point. So if it's red zone usage, I think Jake Ferguson is my favorite anytime touchdown. So it's like, if you just want to make the odds longer and get a bigger payout, just move it to first touchdown. So I like Jake Ferguson.
Interesting. Yeah, I hope they're passing a lot, because that means Dak has a chance to throw a pick. So I like that handicap. I hope that they're back throwing the ball. I hope, because I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. That's the thing. I think the Jets are going to take away Pollard and say, let's make Dak throw, because when he throws, he makes mistakes. So I'll be very curious to see what the Jets defense looks like, and do they stack the line trying to make, because obviously the weapons are there for Dallas to throw the football, but that's right into the Sauce Gardner secondary for the Jets, and that plays right into their strength. So it's going to be a fascinating game. Do you think that Zach Wilson could be a legitimate quarterback? Do you think this kid could actually take the Jets somewhere?
No.
Nobody does. I feel so bad for the kid. Like, a part of me wants him to be good, because nobody thinks the kid can be good. He was the second pick of the draft, and everyone's like, yeah, he stinks. He can't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, he just, even at BYU, though, he played a bunch of really bad teams, and it was weird because it was that COVID year. So it was like there weren't a lot of games on, and the games that were on were BYU against Zach Wilson against really bad defenses. So it's like it made him look really good when he was playing really bad teams. But then when you get to the NFL level, it's like, man, this is much harder than the competition we're playing at the college level. So yeah, I think that especially just given that draft class specifically, not everyone's going to be a hit. Lawrence is a hit. And then we have a bunch of other question marks about all the other quarterbacks.
Yeah. So, football guy, you're asking, the one book that I use has a Wong teaser at minus 150. They have all teasers at 150, just FYI. This is the get out of here number. Okay. Sports books used to offer 6-point teasers at even money. That used to be a thing. I'm old enough to remember when they did. Then it went to 110. Then it went to 120. Now there's books in Vegas who have minus 140. DraftKings is still offering minus 120 on 2-leg teasers. Okay. So DraftKings is still, I think it's a smart move by DraftKings to do that, to say, okay, the rest of the market, they're making you pay 135, 140, 150 on teasers. DraftKings is offering you minus 120. Shop. If it comes down to what book to use, I would say the teaser price is enough for me to go use that book. So any book, you guys watching, any bookmakers out there, put your teasers at 120. It's fine. You'll be okay. Your lights will stay on. Give folks a fair price on a teaser. So I wouldn't do minus 150. I think that's too expensive on a teaser. I would go in on minus 120 if you can find it. DraftKings has it. Better bet Cincy money line is part of a money line parlay, or Ravens plus 9.5 in a teaser. Don't we feel like the Ravens win the game? Maybe not cover it. Maybe they win by 3, but they win.
I think I still think I just can't see the Bengals starting 0-2. Like, that's the thing that has me going away from the Ravens, especially with all their injuries. And yeah,
and they may cover. I mean, the number is the Ravens cover, right? So 3.5 means the hook's in play. So I could see a last-second field goal for Cincinnati. They win the game 20-17 or something like that. I mean, I could easily see that that's the final. But I would if I'm going to put a parlay together, I would feel more comfortable, with a money line Bengals bet than if the injuries are really a problem in that secondary, and the Bengals look like the Bengals again. And I'm with you. I don't think if the Ravens win this game by 10 plus points, the Bengals win this game by 10 plus points, I'm not going to be surprised. Would you?
No.
It's just the matchup, right? Just looking at the injuries, it's early in the year. I'm not saying that they're going to punt on it, but Harbaugh's kind of like Belichick and Harbaugh are the two coaches that they think September is just like whatever. Like it's not important to them. Like they don't care about September. They care about November, December. So if they get beat by the Bengals, yeah, it's a divisional game, but like we'll worry about that down the road when we see them again. Split, go 1-1, and we're fine. So not to say the Ravens are punting on this game, but there are some really significant injuries for the Ravens, and not just the J.K. Dobbins situation, some really big defensive injuries that I think could factor into play here. And the Bengals are mad. I mean, let's be honest. They got ripped locally for what their offense looked like, and Joe Burrow regression, and oh no, this offense is not the same when it once was, and blah, blah, blah. So, all right, guys, thanks for being here. This is awesome. Andrew, thank you for doing this. We'll do this every other week. You'll be on, or our Fitzmagic friend will be back with Morris on. So thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. Anything you want to close with?
Patriots money line, baby. Let's go. Victory Monday. I'm going to be drinking my Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee, knowing the Patriots had a big win on Sunday night. Can't wait for it.
You're wearing wearing a Daily Juice sweatshirt, taking the Patriots. I did not put him up to any of this. FYI, it's my first time. Everyone's like, oh, nice ringer you put on the show there, Matt. This guy's wearing a Juice sweatshirt. He's from Wall. He lives in Waltham, and he's pitching the Patriots to go ahead and win tonight on Sunday Night Football. I didn't put him up to any of this. This is not me speaking, so don't get mad at me. Although I do agree with Andrew's take. He's a smart man. Follow Andrew's take. Andrew, Matt, we'll talk to you next week here for the Betting Pros live stream right here on the Betting Pros YouTube channel.